What's going on, guys? It's GBP baby. Welcome back to another video. I hope everybody's doing well, and let's get straight into things. So hopefully you've watched yesterday's video. If you haven't, do go check that out before you come to this. And yeah, you can see Monday traded lower on dollar. Nothing out of the ordinary from what we anticipated. I was stating that I wanted to see price trade down into this red zone right here, this fair value gap, and you can see we've just filled that today. So in terms of wanting to see a bullish week, this is in line with that, because when we expect a bullish week, we want to see down close candles Monday, Tuesday, with the expectation to see expansion Wednesday through Friday, ideally, in the ideal world. Now, don't get me wrong, we haven't had weeks where we've had that ideal play out, so we need to take that into account. But generally speaking, we expect us to open on the new week, drop lower, and then trade on higher. So seeing this is quite nice. Now you can see we've did overshoot the fair value gap slightly, and what I have my eye set on now is this little imbalance right here, and I'll explain what this Fibonacci is there for in a bit. So for now, I'm going to get rid of this. So for now, I'm going to get rid of this, and we're going to keep this fair value gap right here because that's still significant, and I'm going to mark out this little imbalance. Now this volume imbalance, I don't want to see price trade through that at all for me to remain bullish. If we get down below that, I'll be very suspicious of price, and I'll probably have to start rethinking my bias. But generally speaking, price shouldn't need to trade any lower than this, and ideally doesn't even tap into it. But let's drop down to the 4 hour, and I'll show you what I'm paying close attention to. So you'll see how that lines up with the 50% level of this bullish order block right here. You can see that right here. This is what we call mean threshold. So this is another level which I'm not anticipating, or ideally don't want to see price drop lower than, because as far as I'm concerned, if we're bullish, this should be able to hold price. So I'm watching this 50% level moving into tomorrow very closely, because it is likely we are going to trade on lower. Maybe during Asia we might just start running on lower towards this 50% level, but ideally we find support, and then if we do see a reversal out of there, that should set us up for a nice setup to start looking for a run higher for the rest of the week. Now it's easy now. Seeing us drop like this so aggressively, there's going to be so many people going short and thinking that dollar is dropping, and don't get me wrong, it is to an extent. However, we have levels now that we've marked out that we don't want to see get violated. More specifically, this blue level right here. This is the very lowest I want to see price trade, and I'll be watching, again, as I was saying, I'll be actively watching to see can we get a strong reaction out of this level. Now you'll see we have high impact news tomorrow, which is perfect. So at 8:30, if we are around here and we do see expansion outside, again, that will set us up for some nice shorts on the pairs with an expectation for dollars to trade on higher. And you'll also see it lines up with this breaker as well, low, high, low, low. So, you know, there's a bearish order block which should act as a bullish order block in this sense at that level on the hourly. So there's reason as to why I'm expecting price to turn at this level. There's also an imbalance here down on the 15-minute. Here's another breaker, low, high, low, low. Look at that last up close candle. So again, it's just a matter of seeing how price treats it once it gets there. Any lower than that, whole other story. But generally speaking, I'd like to think we can find support here. So that's everything on dollar. Let's head on to GBP. Again, if you haven't watched yesterday's video, check it out, because there'll be a much more context there, and you'll see how pound traded beautifully right exactly into that gap I was talking about right here. So this gap is actually supposed to be on the lower time frame, so I'm not going to bother talk about it, but it's nice to see that we're now in this range. And like I said, if you watch yesterday's video, I'd be looking for shorting setups with the assumption that price is going to be able to trade on lower later on in the week. So let's go to the 4 hour, and you'll see it's trade. Oh, it's actually a bearish order block. Cool. So we traded up into that. Ideally, we do see pound continue to consolidate in here. I don't really want to see it rally much more. Like I said, dollar may drop, and that might cause a little bit of rallying on pound. But the highest I want to see it go would be this level, and I did speak about this yesterday. Any higher than that, whole other story. Ideally, it doesn't need. I don't want to see it trade up into here. To be honest, it can do it, but ideally it doesn't. We do need to take into account that we do have high impact news on Wednesday as well, so we'll talk about that in tomorrow's video. But my point is, ideally we see price consolidate a little bit, and then struggle to get any higher, and then drop lower, because again, this would act as a breakaway gap for me, and that would support me nicely with the expectation to run for this Friday low and toward our targets. So yeah, pounds traded just as we expected this week. I am expecting, like I said, I am expecting us to rally a little bit more, maybe see a failure swing. And what I mean by that is that we might run out these highs, but then I want to see price fail and continue to trade on lower. That's what I want to see, because although we're moving higher and it looks like price could trade on higher, this isn't enough. We need If price was going to reverse at this point, we'd see a lot more aggressive movement to the upside. Yes, we've rallied all day, but we need aggressive movement. We need like this kind of movement if we're going to be seeing expansion, which is why I'm seeing this as just a false swing, and I'm anticipating price to just kind of meander a little bit and then maybe wick up and then drop. But obviously we'll have to wait and see. And let's finish up on euro, and you'll see how euro reached up into this premium. So let's go to the daily. Now euro's moved a little bit stronger than pound, and you can see how we've closed above this fair value gap, so we do need to take that into account. And similar to dollar, I am happy for price to take out Monday's high, but then generally speaking I want to see us move lower towards Wednesday. So again, beautiful bearish order block right here. Let's get these marked out. I'm looking at this open I'm looking between here and here, and you already guessed it, I'm looking at the 50% level. Why? Mean threshold. Price shouldn't be able to violate this if we are to remain bearish, so we might find that euro is in there rallying into this tomorrow. But again, I'm expecting and anticipating a failure swing, so I'm happy for it to rally in there, but I want it to fail. I'm looking for failure for it to then trade on lower, and then we can start looking for these lows to get ran. So if we trade above that 50% level, then what? Well, it's likely we are more more bullish than I anticipated, and I'll start looking for these highs here and here. But it doesn't mean I'll trade it. So the only thing I'd trade in this situation is if we do get here and then I see a break in market structure and it's the right time of day, then I'd be looking for a trade. But if we violate it, that doesn't mean I'm now going long. I'm just going to wait and then, review, and then we stop and think about where it could be drawing to. So yeah, that's how I'm looking at euro. Pretty simple, to be honest. But generally speaking, things are going as expected in terms of I'm expecting rallying at the beginning of the week. We're seeing that very early, which is nice. So now I'm looking for Tuesday or Wednesday to give me that reversal that can start to send price lower. But again, all this in mind, we need to keep dollar in mind in terms of watching how it's behaving once it gets down into here. So I hope that all makes sense, guys. Yeah, there's not really much more for me to say. Let me take a close look at pound real quick. And the reason I'm doing this is because although I don't want price to get up here, it can, and there is a gap up here. So, and these are relatively equal highs. So price may want to wick up here for buy side liquidity first. So we might find that pound manages to rally maybe during the London session up above there. But again, this is the very highest. Basically this high, I'm seeing it as like a level of security. I don't want to see that get violated, because once that gets violated, again, whole nother story. And this is what an original consolidation. We have a move to the downside, and price always returns to that original consolidation. So looking at this range in general, I'm happy for price to return and trade into it. So let's just get that. I usually grey out my original consolidations, and if price plays along as I'm expecting, guys, I will go into much more detail tomorrow about original consolidations, assuming we do trade into it and turn around in it. But yeah, something to look at. So that's going to be everything, guys. Don't forget to drop a like, drop a comment, smash subscribe, join the mailing list, join the Discord, and catch me in tomorrow's video. And also watch yesterday's if you haven't already. Peace.